Good morning, aspirants. It's 4th of November today, and I welcome you all on today's edition of What to Read in the Hindu newspaper. I'm 𝗗𝗶𝗹𝘆 𝗡𝗲, Senior Mentor at Prepp IAS. While going through the articles, we will not only see its relevance with regard to prelims and mains, but we'll also try and interlink it with other GS papers as well. So let's get started. The very first article that is worth our attention is about President praises members of Uttarakhand Assembly for implementing UCC, that is Uniform Civil Code, key bills. So when we map this particular article in our syllabus, this will fall under GS paper 2 under the theme Indian Constitution, Governance and Polity. The key theme that has been discussed in this particular article talks about balancing gender justice and cultural diversity through state level UCC implementation, that is Uniform Civil Code implementation. For prelims perspective, we need to know about Article 44 of DPSP that ascribes states to implement UCC. What are the basics of UCC? Constitutional provision on personal laws, that is under concurrent list entry 5. Then the related cases with regard to Uniform Civil Codes, such as Shah Bano judgment of 1985, Sarla Mudgal case of 1995. For mains perspective, we need to know about equality versus diversity debates that has always been there when it comes to implementing UCC. Afterwards, federal implications of state level UCCs. Then gender justice and secularism as a guiding principle. So in this manner, this particular article is to be holistically read and revised. The next important article that is there in the paper and that catches our attention is on editorials page, and that talks about India's IT sector. So this is a very important article from today's paper is about India's IT dream is at crossroads. So when we map this particular article in our syllabus, this will fall under GS paper 3, Indian economy, GS paper 2, governance, under the theme employment, technology, etc. The key theme that has been discussed in this particular article talks about the shift from manpower-driven outsourcing to AI-driven innovative economy. For prelims perspective, we need to know what the contribution of IT sector in overall GDP of India, then impact of AI and automation on employment, policy frameworks with regard to it, such as Digital India, Skill India, and India's AI mission. For mains perspective, we need to know about the difference between reskilling and upskilling as economic priorities, that is need of the hour, as we are one of the largest workforce, potential workforce that is there, and also we need to reap the demographic dividend that we have, AI ethics, data governance, future of India's service exports. So this can even be linked with recent trends that we have seen in the form of silent layoffs and India's changing comparative advantage in global IT markets as well. So all these peripheral angles are to be explored while going through this particular article. The next important article that is just next to it is about the case of energy efficiency. It is relevant for GS paper 3 under the theme environment. So when we map this particular article in our syllabus, this will fall under environment, infrastructure, and energy efficiency. Relevant for with regard to prelims, we need to know what is grid emission factor, that is GEF factor, Energy Conservation Amendment Act that was amended in 2022. It's recent provisions that we have to read and revise. What is BEE and its labeling initiatives so far? For mains perspective, we need to know the role of efficiency in a clean energy transition, challenges of transmission, distribution, and losses that we have. We can even interlink it with India's national hydrogen mission. So in this manner, this particular article is to be read and revised. We can even link it with sustainable development goals and India's UNFCCC targets as well. how this could be a potential initiative when implemented on ground would lead to net zero emissions, the commitment that we have made there. Moving on, the next important article that is there in the paper and that catches our attention talks about, has cloud seeding been effective? Now, Delhi has witnessed 2 rounds of cloud seeding, but it couldn't get the required outcome. So when we map this particular article, it will fall under GS paper 3, Science and Tech and Environment. The key theme that has been discussed over here is cloud seeding as a potential technology, but unreliable tool for rainfall enhancement that we have witnessed in this year's initiative itself. For prelims perspective, we need to know about the CAPEX project of IIT Kanpur and IMD, chemicals used for cloud seeding such as calcium chloride and silver iodide, and effectively what was used in this year's chemical for cloud seeding technology. India's first experiment, when was it done initially? We can even link it for the mains perspective. We need to know limits of weather modification sciences, ethical and environmental concerns associated with it, climate adaptation and regional drought strategies. In this manner, this particular article is to be read and revised. The next important article that is there in the paper is what are the challenges with high seas treaty? So relevant for GS paper 2 IR, global environmental governance. The key theme that has been discussed in this particular article talks about balancing freedom of seas with the principle of common heritage of humankind. For prelims perspective, we need to know about bodies such as UNCLOS, which was formed in 1982, and how it governs high sea, and the concepts related to it such as marine genetic resources, MGRs, then marine protected areas. What are these? Whether we have ratified or not, which all countries have ratified or not. For mains perspective, we need to know what are the global commons that we have right now. What is ocean biodiversity? India's strategic interest in deep sea exploration, environmental diplomacy in the Indo-Pacific, and this is how this is to be read and revised. The next important article that is there in the paper and that catches our attention is about need for shift in focus from food security to nutrition security, say PM. Relevant for GS paper 3, agriculture, science, tech and health. The key theme that has been discussed over here is it's high time that we move from food security to nutrition security using science and tech and innovation. For prelims perspective, we need to know about what are biofortified crops, which all crops in India as of now has been allowed by the government for biofortification process, who regulates its role of ICAR, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, then National Research Foundation Act, which was implemented in 2023, Eat Right Movement of India. For mains perspective, we need to know about National Nutrition Mission, that is Poshan Mission 2.0. We can even link it with integrating technology in traditional diets that we are trying to emphasize in the form of other millets program that India has launched, role of startups and research in public nutrition. So this is how this particular article is to be read and revised. Also, this is relevant because prior to this, we used to organize Indian Science Congress. But right now, this was replaced with Emerging Science, Technology and Innovation Conclave from this year itself. So also this is relevant for this particular reason in today's paper to read about. So the last important article that is there in the paper and which is worth reading is about heavy metal contamination of rivers that is always there, and Cauvery river is the prime example this particular article talks about. So relevant for GS paper 3, environment, ecology, and health. The key theme that has been discussed in this particular article talks about heavy metal contamination as an ecological and public health challenge. For prelims perspective, we need to know which all metals are considered to be heavy metal in nature and what are by what threshold limit when they surpass they are said to be contaminant in nature. What is who regulates river pollution monitoring, bioaccumulation and difference with biomagnification? What are the basics of it? This could be even linked for mains perspective with regard to linking pollution control with SDG goals of 6 and 3, interlinking it with river rejuvenation projects, public health implications, and need for integrated water governance as well. So this is how this particular article is to be read. Also, few years back, NITI Aayog has even or launched a report with regard to surface water pollutants, and the observations with regard to it can also be read and revised. So this is all from my end for today's Hindu newspaper analysis. Till we meet for the next time, take care and goodbye.